Shirt fade, it shrank. Might be the last time I wear this shirt. Anyway, before I get started, if anybody from YouTube itself is seeing this, a couple weeks back I asked for an appeal for a video that was demonetized. If somebody could kindly drop me a line explaining what's going on, because last I checked, the appeal is still pending, and I was under the impression I should have at least had a little something by now. If you could spare a minute or two, I know it's a holiday weekend, but I'd rather appreciate it. Thank you. Anywho, on to the rest of the video. This here is one genuine bottle of Made in Mexico soda. Let's see if I can show the logo with not really shaking the bottle. Now, to the average everyday person, me having a bottle of soda like this simply means I'm in the mood for something a little refreshing. There are those, however, who would say that I, as a white American, am a very, very, very horrible person for drinking Mexican soda. And it's not for the reasons you might think. There's a lot of people who hold to the notion of what's called cultural appropriation being a bad thing. Cultural appropriation, simply in a nutshell, means that when you've got two or more cultures coming together in close proximity, eventually in time, as they come close, they start intermingle and mix, get to know each other. Bits and pieces of one culture will be adopted by another culture. In most cases, that simply means culture A decides culture B has something they like, and it's enough for them to adopt it. This goes back to what I mentioned in an earlier video about how America is supposed to be a melting pot. You have all these different groups here in America, and each group, in the proper melting pot scenario, they're Americans, but they have a distinct flavor of being American that helps contribute to the whole. It's like the chicken salad. You have the different ingredients all coming together into one single thing, as compared to the dried fruit where you could just pick stuff out of it at your leisure. Thing is, there are those who say that cultural appropriation is a bad thing, especially if it's a so-called dominant culture adopting something from a culture that is supposedly not in a dominant position. And there's people who get very up in arms about it. There was a bit a year ago where a racial minority college student got so upset that a white student had dreadlocks, she demanded scissors so she could cut his hair off. I'll try and get you the video of that, put it in the description so you can see it for yourself. Well, the cultural appropriation crowd has struck again. A couple days ago, news came out that two ladies were forced to shut down their burrito business because they were being harassed. They went to Mexico, got the recipes from everybody who was willing to speak with them and give them recipes, brought it back here to the United States, opened up their own little burrito cart, cue a bunch of people accusing them of stealing the recipes from the people down in Mexico. Cultural appropriation, theft, they're wicked evil people, blah blah blah. The harassment ended up being such that they had to shut down their business, scrub a lot of their online presence. Folks, even Biddy will tell you, the would-be heroes who shut down the cultural appropriators, they're not heroes. they're the villains. They're basically trying to enforce race separation, cultural separation. You know, something that for the past several decades we've been trying to teach is a bad thing, but it's somehow a virtue when it comes to protecting from what is essentially a bogeyman. These people are tilting at windmills in the name of a very backwards understanding of a concept. Folks, it's alright to share with people. It's alright to talk, to communicate, to have ideas, to look at what other people are doing, evaluate what they're doing, accept or reject. Yes, there is something to be said for trying to be respectful when you're doing it. Must you? But when civilizations and cultures within civilizations come into contact, things get shared. And under normal circumstances, that can actually be a very good thing. So people who say, oh, if you didn't create it, you can't have it, that's selfishness. That's actually racism. And yet, if you were to tell the people who are upset about cultural appropriation that they were being racist, they would absolutely freak out. Because they can't understand, no, they're the villain in that situation. So folks, all I'm trying to say is, just think about it. We're a melting pot. A big part of why we're as good as we are is because all these people together from all these different backgrounds came together, and in the process of coming together, they took their own original stuff, combined it together, made a better whole for it. If we really wanted to nitpick, I'm sure everyone from every single group, racial group, religious group, social group, whatever, could find something or other and say, we did this, you can't have it, if the people really wanted to do that. And so that's the main reason why the whole cultural appropriation is evil thing is so bleeping ridiculous. I mean, what if somebody decided they wanted to declare use of the TV as cultural appropriation? That the TV was invented by a member of a minority religious group, so anybody not of that group can't use the TV, and by extension can't use the computer monitor. Think how absurd that sounds. And you'll understand how absurd it is that people are saying, oh, you can't have a hairstyle associated with this culture, or oh, you can't eat this food associated with this culture. It's absurd. It's racist. It's as bigoted as can be. So folks, whatever it is you enjoy it. And if it's something you really like, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, share it. If they enjoy it too, it's a part of the culture now, and it is something to share. And if it's a good thing, it's something that'll strengthen everybody for being shared. And to those who say otherwise, you may want to stop and contemplate some choices you've been making. So folks, catch y'all later.